Did you know that if all the power you ever used came from nuclear, your lifetime waste would fit in a soda can?
Nuclear power is like the unloved child of sustainable energy. It's got so much potential, but it only gets noticed when it does something wrong. If only people could just see how cool it is.
The public has developed an impression that the danger of radiation is much greater than what is actually seen by scientific estimates. This is because there is frequently heavy media coverage of even the most trivial incidents involving radiation exposure, and media always uses words like deadly or lethal in describing radiation. In his book, The Nuclear Option, an Alternative for the 90s, Bernard Leonard Cohen explains that the waste from nuclear power plants is actually less toxic than many products that we use daily. He claims it is safer than ammonia, which is found in Windex, barium, which is found in paint, and chlorine, which can be found in bleach. It's also less toxic than air pollution from burning coal. The Chernobyl nuclear power plant accident in the USSR stirred up a lot of fear in America, and many people asked if such an accident could occur here. Since there are many differences in the United States' reactor design, it is highly unlikely that an accident like this could happen here. Federal regulations also require extensive emergency preparedness planning for all United States nuclear energy facilities. With time and new technological advancements, plants are only getting safer. Unlike other energy sources, the waste from nuclear power is not messy, and it's contained in a small cask at the bottom of the plant. Nuclear power also emits the least amount of greenhouse gases compared to other energy sources. The life cycle emissions of natural gas are 15 times greater than nuclear, and life cycle emissions of coal generation are 30 times greater than nuclear. These include emissions associated with the construction of the plant, mining and processing the fuel, routine operation of the plant, disposal of used fuel and other waste byproducts, and decommissioning. One of the greatest obstacles when building nuclear power plants is the high cost. It can cost up to $7 to $8 billion for a new plant. Banks are often very hesitant to lend to the government because if the nuclear power plant is not successful, they will not be repaid and taxpayers will be holding a rather large bag. According to the Advisory Committee for Natural Resources, data from up to 2004 proves nuclear power to be the most economical. Its discount rate, or the rate that it declines in value each year, is only 3%, and it has an 80% energy capacity factor, which is based off of a ratio from its actual energy produced and the hypothetical maximum possible. The base cost of nuclear power is 6.2 cents per kilowatt hour, but if construction time, overnight capital cost, and construction capital costs were the same as they were for oil, the base cost would be 4.4 cents, which would compete with the 4.2 cent base cost of oil. The cost of nuclear power is also consistent. An increase in the cost of uranium barely increases the cost of nuclear energy. For example, a 100% increase in the cost of uranium would only increase the cost of nuclear energy by 5% if we used current reactor technology. Nuclear resources can meet our needs for many years. Inside a nuclear reactor, uranium atoms are split, which makes steam, which spins a turbine to drive a generator, which then produces electricity. Just 1 pound of uranium is equal to 1,400 metric tons of coal and 6,000 barrels of oil. As petroleum production declines, we're going to have to turn to nuclear power. Uranium can be found in many places in the United States, such as high-grade ores in the Colorado Plateau. These ores have the equivalent of 10,500 tons of coal, or 45,000 barrels of oil. Chattanooga Shale in Tennessee contains the equivalent of 30 billion barrels of oil, or 5 East Texas oil fields. There are also several 100 million metric tons of uranium in North and South Dakota.
This is not about, for you and for much of the environmental movement that came of age in the 60s, this is about a fear of nuclear weapons. One thing I wanted to address, 33 countries in the world have nuclear weapons capability. 9 of them have decided to pursue nuclear weapons. So the association you're making between somehow having more nuclear energy and the countries that already have nuclear capacity is really misleading, Ralph. In other words, 33 countries could have nuclear weapons. They decide not to get them. We can expand nuclear energy in those countries that already have.
I applaud you.
Nuclear power can also create many well-paying jobs. Higher education officials say the nuclear power industry is growing, and they are in need of trained workers fast. According to the U.S. Bureau of Labor Statistics, most nuclear workers can expect to earn an average salary of $50,000 to more than $100,000 a year. An electrical technician who maintains equipment at a nuclear plant earns an average annual salary of $58,000. Reactor operators who are licensed by the federal government average about $76,000. Entry-level plant engineers with a bachelor's degree earn an average salary of $91,000. Let's take a look at France, a country who already has experience using nuclear power. France has 58 power plants that meet 80% of its total electricity needs. Has decreased its dependence on foreign oil and come closer to their goal of achieving energy independence. Anne Lavragon is chairman of the nuclear giant Areva, which dominates an industry that employs 150,000 people and is a key exporter in the French economy. She may be the most powerful businesswoman in France, where everyone knows her as Atomic Anne.
It's difficult to fight against climate change and at the same time to be against nuclear power, because you have not a lot of ways to produce energy without CO2 emissions. You have hydro, you have nuclear, you have wind, and you have solar. But wind and solar are, temporary sources of energy. It works when you have wind, it works when you have sun. No sun, no wind, no energy. You don't watch TV only when you have wind.
Nuclear power is the energy source for our future. It is safe, has little greenhouse emissions, is proven to be a good investment, and even creates jobs. Our country has few other choices for reliable energy of the future.